becomes the heavyweight champion of the world.
Yo, what up YouTube? It's your boy Wage, that wrestling anime gaming enthusiast. I am doing a video about wrestling, and as you can see by the title, this video is going to be my top 10 favorite wrestlers. Not who I think are the best wrestlers, just my personal top 10 favorite wrestlers. And you'll probably learn a little bit about the style of wrestling and the types of personalities that I like. So without further ado, let's hop right into it.
10.
Alright, so at number 10, we got Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal is half of what I think I would have become if I was a professional wrestler. Jay Lethal has a lot of really good matches with all of our favorite indie wrestlers. He actually had a nice string of matches with some old school wrestlers in TNA. And you'd just be really surprised at the amount of, at some of the legends that Lethal has been in the ring with. And yeah, I just really like moveset. These characters, especially Black Machismo. And I definitely have to mention that Jay Lethal has the funniest wrestling promo of all time with Ric Flair. So if you haven't seen that, you need to check that out. But finish watching this video first and then go check that out.
9.
Kenny Omega at number 9. Kenny Omega is the other half of what I think I would become if I was a professional wrestler. I really like that he shares my passion for anime and gaming, so much so that Kenny actually attends fighting game tournaments like EVO. So I think that's really dope, and he also names a lot of the maneuvers that he uses in the ring after video game references. So I think that's really dope too. I think arguably Kenny Omega is like the best wrestler in the world. If you don't think so, I really challenge you to watch some of his matches versus Okada. Watch all 3 of those, like from the beginning, and just tell me what you think after that. Another thing is, I think Kenny Omega is probably the biggest non-WWE like wrestler in the world in terms of popularity and being able to recognize who he is. I think that's really dope. And I hope that guys like him and Jay Lethal are able to continue growing without having to go through like the WWE machine. Not to say that WWE is bad and anybody that likes that. I just think it's dope that they're able to become as big as they are without necessarily having to go through that company.
8.
At number 8, we got Shinsuke Nakamura. A lot of you probably really only know Shinsuke from the WWE, but man, Shinsuke in Japan as the King of Strong Style was like one of the coolest things ever. Even NXT, Shinsuke as the King of Strong Style was dope, but like even before he was the King of Strong Style, like Shinsuke was having championship matches in Japan with people like Kurt Angle, Bob Sapp, Hiroshi Tanahashi, and Brock Lesnar. Later, he would have like start to lead a group called Rise that had Loki and Prince Devitt, somebody who a lot of you probably know as Finn Balor. And then he really started to become the King of Strong Style when he formed the group Chaos. Yeah, I know. Okada, that dude that's having all these great matches with Naito and Kenny Omega, that dude was just a little fledgling under the OG when Shinsuke was the leader of Chaos. And I'm just saying, Shinsuke might have the greatest entrance of all time. Just saying.
7,
At number 7, we got CM Punk. Now, CM Punk, the character, I've never really been that interested in, but I always thought his matches were really dope. Probably some of the best matches in wrestling at that time. So you're probably wondering why at number 7. CM Punk is on this list purely off the strength of him saving my love for professional wrestling. Now, don't get me wrong, at the time, there were things happening. Like, if you look at the card for Wrestle Kingdom 5 or Final Battle 2011, like, there were things happening. But I just didn't have a lot of friends that were interested in, like, other promotions or, like, social media, wrestling community, like, wasn't what it is right now. So, like, when CM Punk did that Pipe Bomb promo and then came out to Cult of Personality, I just thought it was amazing, and it really brought my interest back to WWE. And I also really enjoyed the Punk, Bryan, and AJ Lee storyline.
6,
Number 6, we have Chris Jericho. When I think of professional wrestler and all of the different things that a professional wrestler can do, I kind of think of Chris Jericho. From ECW to AEW, from Lionheart to Le Champion. Chris Jericho is just kind of what I think all wrestlers should aspire to be and can be. He's great in the ring. He's great on the mic. He's able to make me laugh. He's able to make me mad. He's just so versatile. Outside of the ring, he can sing, he can dance, he can act. And also, Jericho's just always seems like he's willing to put other people over. And unlike the lyrics to his song Judas, I don't actually think he would ever drag anybody down or sell anybody out in the business.
5,
At number 5, we have AJ Styles. Some people say that the Nature Boy is the greatest wrestler of all time. Some people say that HBK is the greatest wrestler of all time. I have a feeling when the Phenomenal One is close to retiring or actually retires, people will say that AJ Styles is the GOAT. He's been wrestling for a really long time. He actually had a lot of wrestling buzz generated around him in his matches before this match that I'm about to say. But man, at the TNA Unbreakable pay-per-view in 2005, he was in a three-way match versus Christopher Daniels and Samoa Joe for the X Division title. And man, that match like blew me away. It was amazing. I had never seen a wrestling match like that before up until that time. Like, it was just crazy. And I think it might still be the best three-way match of all time. AJ would continue to keep having like great matches from that point. But I think like 11 years later at Wrestle Kingdom 10, he would have my favorite match of his of all time versus Shinsuke Nakamura. That match was super, super dope. And yeah, like, if you haven't seen either one of those matches, I would say check them out. And if you don't think that AJ is possibly the GOAT after seeing either of those two matches, I might call you a crazy person.
4,
At number 4, we have Asuka. I'm not really gonna recommend any matches for you to go watch. Like, even like when she was Kana in Japan, or in Triple Tails with Io Shirai and her sister. I just want to say that Asuka is the greatest women's wrestler of all time, and I don't even think this should be controversial. Like, the woman can barely speak English, and she is easily one of the most interesting, dynamic characters on the WWE Women's roster. Like, she might even be the most interesting, dynamic character in WWE, period. Like, Asuka can be goofy, silly, funny, serious, and ready to go to war, like whatever. She can basically do anything, and you'd be like, yeah, that's in line with Asuka's character. Like, her facial expressions are like probably like the best in like wrestling, period. Like, I don't know, Asuka's just super dope, and I'm not even talking about like what she does in the ring. Like, in the ring, like, her matches are really good. They're pretty much flawless. Like, it's very hard to find like some Asuka botches. Like, you can go look for them, but I mean, she almost like never botches. She has great matches with like even Nia Jax, like Nia Jax. So like, that's crazy. Like, I'm just gonna say it. Like, when it comes to women's wrestling, Asuka's the GOAT. Nobody, I repeat, nobody is ready for Asuka.
3,
At number 3, we have Rob Van Dam. Oh my goodness. Like, Rob Van Dam was just like my favorite wrestler, like back in the day. Like, first of all, I just want to say, like, ECW was like the start of the change in the style of wrestling that I enjoyed, and like exposed me to like all of this different styles of wrestling and wrestling companies outside of the WWE. But when I first saw RVD, like, I just instantly gravitated towards his character. Like, I just really liked his cool, like, laid back personality. He was doing moves that I had never seen before. His feats of athleticism were like insane. Like, I remember at Hardcore TV in '98, like, this dude like did this senton out into the crowd onto Bam Bam Bigelow. I just thought that that was just like super super crazy. He was like doing all these other cool moves like the Van Daminator and the Van Terminator. He had this really dope feud with Jerry Lynn, and like, man, like, RVD was just like my favorite wrestler at the time. Like, even like my favorite live event that I've ever went to was ECW One Night Stand 2, when RVD beat John Cena, become the ECW or WWE champion. Like, that was just like the coolest thing to be there. I feel like that was like the last true like gathering of ECW fans. And another thing that makes it dope is that my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, kind of surprised me with those tickets. So like, RVD is just like always going to be like super super like important and like one of my favorites as it comes to like my interest and like love for wrestling. And his entrance in WWE, like the music, I think it was like perfect for him. Like, RVD is just like super like cool and definitely one of a kind.
2,
At number 2, we have Shawn Michaels. As a kid, I really liked the Rockers tag team, and I just liked, I guess, their look. They had like a lot of flash to them. It was kind of hard to not pay attention to them as a little kid, and they ran around and were like very fast and stuff. So as a kid, I just kind of gravitated towards them. When Shawn Michaels threw Marty Jannetty through that barbershop window as a kid, that was just like a huge shock to me. I was just like, whoa. And then like, ever since then, I just kept always paying attention to what that dude was doing. Eventually, I came to realize that what I really liked about him was like his fast-paced like wrestling style, and at that time, like not too many people were wrestling fast like him and like jumping around the ring. At least not from what I saw, because I only had like exposure to like WWE. So I thought that was like really cool about him. And when he won the belt at WrestleMania 12, I was like super happy. Um, Eventually, I guess, I had an eye for talent, but we all know Shawn Michaels would end up becoming like one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT of wrestling, especially when it comes to like in ring performing. I mean, I don't even think that it's controversial at all to say that Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 is like the greatest wrestling match of all time. Like, I mean, maybe it can be argued, but I doubt it. Like, that's probably the GOAT match. But Shawn Michaels has also had like other matches that like I just think were like really huge. Like his match versus Ric Flair was like really like emotional, like super good. Like I didn't even know like a wrestling match could make me feel that way or get like that emotional, but like it was just like really dope. And then also on the flip side of that, the Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan match. Shawn Michaels taking liberties with Hulk Hogan is like super unforgettable and like one of the funniest and greatest things I've ever seen in professional wrestling. Like, oh man, I just love him for that because I am not a Hulk Hogan fan at all. Like, so yeah, I don't really think I need to say any more about the greatness of Shawn Michaels. It's kind of like undisputable. Like everybody knows that he's great. Um, he's the icon. He's the headliner. He's the showstopper. He's the main event. The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels.
1,
At number one, I cheated. I couldn't pick. I gave it away on my sweater like the whole time. Like I just couldn't choose between the Macho Man and the Nature Boy. Like both of them are just such big, like iconic, like popular wrestlers. They have like iconic matches. Savage Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. Flair Steamboat at Wrestle War. Like, man, like, first of all, shout out to Ricky Steamboat. The dude is like a legendary workhorse. But man, like, Macho Man and Ric Flair are just like so cool. Like, Macho Man with his like crazy over the top look. Even like the Macho King thing was dope. Like, him and Miss Elizabeth, like the contrast, like I just thought that that was like really dope. Ric Flair was just like so cool. Like he had like the Horseman. Like I know he was a bad guy, but he was like running stuff, and he had like all the nice clothes and nice cars and all the ladies following him. Like Ric Flair was just like super cool. So I mean, like it's just hard to choose, man. You cannot ask me to choose between like the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun, or like funky like a monkey, the cream of the crop, the Macho Madness, the Macho King. Like, oh man, like I just can't do it. Like they're both just so good. Like just look at this match, like right over here, like they're just like so dope. Like their match at like WrestleMania 8 like was just like that was just like awesome for me. Like both of the dudes are just like so good. Like I just can't pick like whether it's the graduation song, like we all graduated with the Macho Man Randy Savage. Like that's dope. Yeah, that's right. When you graduate and you listen to Pop and Circumstance, like, you are graduating with the Macho Man. that is the Macho Man entrance music. Like Ric Flair is out here still being like a relevant pop culture like icon. He out here with the Ric Flair drip, like with the Migos. Like I just can't pick. Like they're both so dope, so awesome, and they're like the reasons that I became like a wrestling fan. So that is my top 10 list. I hope you like it. Rate the video, comment, subscribe, and I will see y'all later. Peace.